Pacific Nations Cup is getting a new look, and boy, I couldn't be more excited for it. I think it's a fantastic idea. Look, we talked, about the potential of having a Six Nations Southern Hemisphere, but I actually think that this could be more beneficial to these Six Nations than two of the nations coming up and de-strengthening that this tournament. So what we have now is, at the moment, or this new look is going to be two groups of three pools. Samoa, Tonga, and Fiji in one pool, Japan, Canada, and USA in the other pool. You're going to get a minimum matches of minimum games of three for all teams, but they play round robin. So, Samoa will play Tonga and Samoa will play Fiji. They will then go into a semi-finals and final setup with 5th and 6th also playing a playoff. So an example of how this tournament could look. Fiji beats Samoa, Fiji beats Tonga, Samoa beats Tonga, so Fiji goes top of Pool A, Samoa 2, Tonga 3. Japan beat Canada, Japan beat America, so they're top of Pool A. America beat Canada, so they're second. So then America will play Fiji, and then Samoa will play Japan, and then Tonga and Canada will play off on the 5th and 6th. Bang, 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 we have a final. Fiji wins the final and show that they're the greatest team ever. Only because I'm wearing a Fiji top right now. But yeah, so I'm really excited for this. I think this is fantastic because I think the more games we can get in the Pacific teams is great. And this, I think, strengthens Japan as well with a relationship with the US and Canada in rugby. Again, USA and Canada are not at the points with rugby where they should be. They should be neither of them made the last Rugby World Cup, which is a travesty for rugby. And so I think this strengthens them as well, and it does a really good job with that. And I think it's really interests me because I think this could even expand even more. And I think there's a lot of potential to expand this into South America and to everything like this. So, Hughesy, what are your first thoughts on this new look Pacific Nations Cup?
It's a really good time to be announcing it as well in the aftermath of the NRL's venture into Las Vegas and in America, because a lot of Americans won't care about the differences between union and league. They'll see a rugby on the screen and they'll just watch it, which personally I think that's what everyone's attitude should be, because that's my attitude. I see rugby on the screen, whether it's league or union, and I watch it. So I think it's great. It's a great move. Getting America and Canada involved as much as we can is a huge move for World Rugby, particularly with an upcoming World Cup there as well, and just a huge sports market that exists in America. I really like it. I agree with you completely. The more games we can get in these Pacific nations, the better, the stronger that they'll become. One comment I'm seeing right now, and I am going to credit this one. So this is on Rugby Bloke's post about the Pacific Nations Cup, and a man named Ben Hawkins says, any way you could structure it so the winner of this gets a spot in the Rugby Championship the following year. I'm sure there'd be a million reasons why it wouldn't work, but it could be fun and gives these nations a chance for more competition against the top tier teams that they are wanting. Now, I know you spoke before about not necessarily wanting to dilute the Rugby Championship. I don't think it's a terrible idea. I think it is something worth exploring because, as I said in our previous discussion about that, we can't go back to tri-nations, so we've got to look to the future and look what could be developed.
Yeah, no, I love that comment actually, and I think you could do it really well because I think what I actually envision if that happened, so you'd have a team would go up and compete the next year, and then you'd have a different team every year competing in it. Ideally, that team would either come last, or even if they didn't come last, let's say the 4 big teams stay in it, and this team goes up. So say Fiji wins it, they go up. A team would replace them in the Pacific Nations Cup for that year, and then you just have a swap for whoever. Say Japan win it the next year, Fiji go back down, Japan stay up. Now, what I like about that is I think everyone would then play each other once, and you'd have a bye, so you'd have 4 games, and it opens up the idea that if we're only doing this over 5 weeks, where you're playing 4 games, 5 weeks because of a bye, then we can have a potential tour, like I know the All Blacks lining up with South Africa to go and do a tour. Like I would love the idea of the All Blacks tour in Australia and getting to play. Imagine the All Blacks playing the Waratahs at Allianz Stadium, like stuff like that, and vice versa. So it could open up for like a mini tour as well after, because we're not playing everyone twice. So that's 6 games. We could shorten this a bit. So I can definitely see a really good idea there. But yeah, that's an interesting concept. I just think, and I think like he said as well, it'll strengthen like Fiji getting to play 4 games against those quality opponents would be great. 4 games against Japan. And the fact with this one as well, that the final series are taking place in Japan and in the US in alternate years. Japan's such a moneymaker for rugby. The fact that what I actually think could be really good here is those Pacific nations, some of those players getting to play in Japan, getting recognised by Japanese scouts, talent going to Japan. It's not so far for them to travel to get a Fijian squad together. Currently, the only way is to go over to France. You see so many Fijians over in France rugby. So, again, another venture into Japan. We always like that. I think, as you said, Rugby World Cup coming up in America, we need to grow the game there, how that can be done. I think this is a fantastic first step.
Absolutely.
But let us know in the comments who you think would win a Pacific Nations Cup or will win this Pacific Nations Cup next year. Our Fiji favourites obviously went, I believe, the furthest, yes, out of all these teams in the last Rugby World Cup. But, I mean...
Japan could be a threat.
Exactly.
Japan, especially if they're going to be hosting the final.
Especially with the pool that they've currently got set up, which is USA and Canada. You'd think they'd breeze past those 2 teams pretty easily, whereas Fiji playing some pretty physical battles against their Pacific Island brothers. So... It could be a really interesting final series. I'm so excited for when this kicks off. I think this will do really well. It's taking place in August and September, so stay tuned for those games. I still think a big thing for World Rugby is a globalised calendar. They need to sort out, like, when are we playing internationals, when are club rugbies, things like that. Work all that out. I know it's not easy, but I think that's going to be a major first step.
Get the South African teams back at Super Rugby, all those kinds of stuff to be worked out.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you for joining us on That Rugby Podcast. I've been Luke. That has been Husey. We are the Sports Booth. We will talk to you later. Goodbye.
Peace.